Hello everybody, once again it's time for the Parish Noticeboard. It's Sunday, September the 28th. Let's get to it and see what I've got for you this week. Now, as you can see, I'm in a wood this week, but I'm joined in this wood by not just trees, but a magnificent piece of masonry, which is structurally unsafe. I am stood far enough away from it though that I'm not going to get anything falling on me. Here it is. Believe it or not, guys, that is actually a castle. That is an actual castle. Where might you find said castle? I am perfectly entitled to be here because I'm on a public footpath which runs right past it. So let me know, guys, where's this? Answers down below, please. And the camera is now perched on a little post which is just in front of the castle. It's a great view, isn't it? It's a great view. You can't go into it, like I said, because it's structurally unsafe, but you can certainly get a good look at it. I'm looking forward to talking about that when I get round to making its episode. This brings us, of course, to last week's answer, and well done if you correctly said FARNDON Marina. That's where we were last week, overlooking the little basin which used to be a sand and gravel quarry. We've heard that before in Newark and Sherwood, haven't we? FARNDON Marina is where we were last week. Damage control this week has one thing to talk about, and it isn't really a mistake, to be honest with you. It concerns the Northolt video, and in that video I walked up to a river and I called that river the River O because it's spelt O as in the French word for water. However, little did I know, the locals out there actually refer to it as the E, just to confuse people. But you know, I'm quite local to there. I grew up obviously in Saxelby, went to school in Gainsborough, and I never even knew that the O was called the E by the locals up there. But there you go, apparently it's the E. So yeah, it's the River E as opposed to the River O. In the Scotland episode, I do make reference as well to the river, and it's still called the O in that, but I'm sure people will be forgiving, shall we say, because, you know, not many people would know it's called the E, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's the River E apparently. Okay, next we have calendar updates. So I put out two polls last week, one in the Village People group and the other one here on YouTube, basically asking how many people would buy the first edition of the TVI calendar, which is coming soon. The response has been great. It's fantastic. We've got so far, I think it's over 30 people that have said yes, they will buy one, which is great. That's fantastic. We need 50 ideally to make a run, so if there's another 20 odd people out there who would want to buy the first edition of the TVI calendar, then make it known on the polls, guys. Make it known on those two polls. They'll be up for another week, and if we get to 50 we will indeed do the first run of TVI calendars, which I'm excited about. I'm so pleased that people are actually interested in buying one, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was a great idea at first. Bit risky saying that because it was Nikki's idea, but even so, yeah, it's great that people want to buy one, and I can't wait to make them. Now, speaking of ideas that were Nikki's, we've had another one, and this one is a bit of a challenge. Now, book exchanges, we see these all the time. Old red phone boxes, sometimes they're bus shelters, sometimes they're in church porches. We see them all over the place. Now, the idea behind a book exchange, if you're not familiar with them by now, is when you go to a book exchange, you take a book with you, you leave that book in the book exchange, and you take another one to replace it. That's why it's called a book exchange. And the idea that we had was, how far can we make a book travel? Let me explain. So earlier today, I left a book in a book exchange, and inside there's a little note, and that note basically says, when you're finished with this book, put it back in a different book exchange. And on the back of that piece of paper there's a little chart where you can write down where it's been, when it was there, and any comments you have. Now, that book exchange is in Bardsey in Leeds. Here's me earlier putting the book in the book exchange. So here's the book exchange in question, and all I've done is I've put the book in here. It's this Catherine Cookson one here, the Hamilton trilogy, and on the inside you can see we've got a TVI card, and then there's a piece of folded paper which basically says if you take this book, replace it with another one, obviously, and then when you're finished with it, put it back in a different book exchange. And on the back we've got a little chart where you can record where it's been, the date, the location, and any comments that you might have. So if anybody in Bardsey fancies reading that book, they can go to that book exchange, open it up, take the book out, leave one in its place, but when you're finished with it, you take it to a different book exchange and write down where it's been on the chart on the back. And then we'll see how many people have read that book and how far it can go. It would be great if it ended up somewhere at the other end of the country, considering that Bardsey is in Leeds. It would be great if it ended up somewhere on the south coast, for example, or maybe even in Scotland or in Wales, or, you know, it could end up anywhere. It could end up anywhere in the world if other countries have book exchanges too. They may do. Now, this is something I want to carry on doing. I want to leave a book every time I do a filming session. It'd be great to see how far they go. It really would. And that, my friends, is that for this week. I don't have anything else to talk about apart from what I'm doing next week with the camera. Now, next week I'm going to Selby on Tuesday. I'll be hitting Thorpe Willoughby and Brayton. Those are two places that I know people have been waiting for. And then on Saturday, as opposed to Friday, it's actually my dad's birthday, and so we're going to combine a meal out with him and my mum with a bit of filming, and that means going to West Lindsey. So I'll be heading to North Kelsey, South Kelsey, Waddingham, Snitterby, Bishop Norton and Glentham. But apart from that, that is the Parish Notice Board on August the 28th. Next week, of course, it'll be September. Where is this year going, I ask you? I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. Thanks for watching. This has been the Parish Notice Board, and I'm out. This path is very narrow and it's very overgrown.